Hello. Hi, everybody. Seeing some people come in. If you can hear me, feel free to drop a hello on the chat. Cool, awesome, great. I feel like now that more people are starting to do more Zooms, I feel like sometimes all the Zoom meetings that we've been having internally here at Planoly, like sometimes people might hear us, people might not, sometimes the connection's a little off. So hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties with this, but thanks everybody for joining so far. We see Sai from the Philippines. I see Loretta from Canada. I see Georgie from the UK. Switzerland, Montana, Poland, London, Belgium. What's Hollywood? I used to work there. California, I'm originally from LA too, so awesome. Georgia, Chicago, Canada, and New York. I hope you guys are staying safe. I know it's a little crazy over there. Orlando, Chicago, Malta, Germany, Finland. Oh my God. Puerto Rico. Hey, Canada, Portugal, Indiana, South Africa, Missouri. Wow. Texas. Hey, we're actually in Austin. So recording live from my apartment because we're working from home. So NorCal, Canada, Alberta, Oregon, Arizona, Brooklyn, Philly, Dallas, West Palm Beach. Wow, awesome. Yay. Oh, Kristen, you're in Austin too. Awesome. Well, hopefully after all of this is done and we have in-person events again, maybe we'll meet at an in-person event. Cool. Amazing. We have people worldwide. That's so awesome. Great. Well, thanks so much for everybody taking time out of, I'm sure they're busy work from home schedules, to just, hang out with us a little bit and learn a little bit about Pinterest. Just to give you kind of like, usually how we used to run these, we used to have them pre-recorded. We started doing that like about 6, 7 months ago. We used to do them pre-recorded. And then do the whole lesson. But now, because we don't have the means to do it in the office, I'm just gonna do it live. So usually how this runs, any questions that you guys may have, please drop them into the Q&A box. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. The Q&A box right here. If you drop them in the chat, they will get lost. There's obviously a lot of people here. So if you have any questions, make sure to drop it in the Q&A. If you do already have a question and you see it on the Q&A box, make sure that you give it a thumbs up so there's no repeated questions within the open Q&A box. After I go through the lesson, then from there, I'll go in, I'll answer a few of your guys' questions. If I don't get through all of them, no worries. This will be pre-recorded, so you'll get a replay tomorrow from Zoom. I saw somebody said that they didn't get a reminder email, so sorry about that, but Zoom should have sent a reminder email to you. And Bethany, yes, your mics are automatically muted. So this is a webinar. I will be the only one who has mics. Unless you have a question, just drop it in from the Q&A box right here. But you will get a replay tomorrow from Zoom. Make sure it's very similar to the confirmation email that was sent out when you registered. So make sure that you keep an eye out for that. I'll include some of the links that I'm mentioning in the presentation, some of the resources and best, kind of like tips that we've created from the Planoly side that will be very resourceful for you if you are looking to build your presence on Pinterest. So this should be very insightful. From a raise of hands, I'm very curious to know how many of you are here because you have no idea how to use Pinterest and want to just like get started. Cool. All right, we have about 50-ish people, now 60 people that, 55 people that don't really, that want to get to know Pinterest. And I'm curious to know, like, you can even drop it in the chat. Like, what are some of the things that held you back from Pinterest? From, you know, using it, from probably, oh, how do we lower hands? Okay. I'm curious to know, like, what's probably held you back, or probably some of the misconceptions that you've had about Pinterest. Clara says, it's confusing to set up on a business side. Okay. All right. Erica says, not knowing how much to type, like sentences and keywords. That's a very fair question. A lot of people kind of don't know how to write descriptions properly for Pinterest and specific to Pinterest. And kind of the way that you want to kind of think of it is you writing for SEO. So a lot of the keywords and descriptions and titles that you write within Pinterest are very much meant for search. So I'll dive into that into the presentation, but good to know. Yes, that is something that we hear a lot from people. I did not even know there was a big following on Pinterest, which is why I didn't even use it until now. From Jennifer. Jessica says, is advertising on Pinterest worth it, or how can you make it worth your while? Yes, it's very well worth it, because Pinterest is very, very niche. Pinterest, while it is not as big as Instagram or the Facebooks of the world, there is a very, very tapped in audience on Pinterest. We also have a webinar that we did back in November that I'll share the link to that too. If you want to check out our YouTube, youtube.com/Planoly, we have a webinar that kind of talks about the benefit of using Pinterest. This webinar will be more about how to dive into your analytics and understand how to create content for it and get a kind of like a basics understanding. But Pinterest content is evergreen. That's the beauty of it. Unlike platforms like Instagram, that, you know, content isn't really that evergreen. Sure, you can create it evergreen, but you can get a great longevity for how long your content will work for you. A example for myself, I created a pin last summer, probably not even last summer, last spring. And then during the summer, I didn't even promote it. It was just that it happened to be shared on somebody's board because they really liked it. And from there, I all of a sudden had like 1 million hits on my Pinterest board. I am not I only work for Planoly. I'm not a content creator by any means, but I had an insane traction through Pinterest that I've never had before because of a pin that I created that a lot of people really liked, and it got shared insanely. So it's kind of like an A/B test. Like sometimes there's content that will work, and sometimes there's content that'll just like catch fire, and it's because the image was great, the title was great, and it just got a lot of traction. So it is very well worth being on Pinterest when you tap into a really activated and engaged audience. Bethany, I feel like I don't have enough content for Pinterest. We'll talk about that. Just a lack of understanding of what sort of images need to be there for my own industry. Cool. I mean, that's fair. I think and the images are different for every industry, and it's not just for DIY and creators. It's for everybody. There's a niche for everything. Cool. Awesome. There's a lot of responses, but this is awesome. Great. I'll make sure to look into this, and we can even create content for you. We're all always creating content for you on our blog. So this is amazing feedback. And then we can go ahead and create the resources that you need. But with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the presentation. So let me just share my screen. And again, if you guys have any questions, just make sure to drop them into the Q&A. Let's see if I can, how do I do this? All right, awesome, great. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Amazing, great, cool. Okay, so let's get started. This is, oh, sorry, wrong presentation. All right. All right. So this is understanding the basics of Pinterest through our pin planner. So first things first, before even for this slide, I encourage all of you to go to Planoly and use our pin planner. We do, just like we have our planner for Instagram, we do have a planner for Pinterest. So make sure to step into it, dive into it if you haven't yet. It's really easy to use. We do have analytics on there, and we just released our campaigns feature last month, which allows you to create, keep your boards fresh, select content that you want to aggregate to different boards. And it works great if you want to create campaigns, if you're a brand, if you're a content creator. But if you're just, a creator or anybody who wants to make sure that their content has longevity within Pinterest, then this is great for you, just to make sure that you're keeping your presence up and keeping your boards fresh. So we have more information on that in the blog, so make sure to check that out. But first things first, there's a big misconception with Pinterest that it is a social media platform. Everybody needs to let go of this misconception, because Pinterest is not just a social media platform. It is a visual discovery engine, and it is where you find to do what you love, and it's its own unique digital channel. The way you should understand and approach the analytics within Pinterest should be different from the rest of your social channels. So everything that you've learned from Instagram, from Twitter, from Facebook, it's very, very different from the way that you actually create content, share content, and engage with content on Pinterest. You have to understand that it's because it is a visual discovery engine, people are going by searches, finding content based on what they search for. So you have to make sure that when you want your content to perform well, it has to fit in with what's being searched for within Pinterest. So a lot of people usually ask, well, I don't really understand what I need to, post on Pinterest, because I don't know what's going on. I think sometimes it's just like a lot of, DIYs, a lot of, recipes and this and that. But there's tons of best performing trends on Pinterest that you might not even understand. And the ones that are more niche and a lot more smaller have a very, very engaged audience that can give you a lot of traction and drive a lot of traffic back to your site. So if you think that people don't want to search for your content, think again. There are thousands upon thousands of niches in Pinterest that tap and span upon different categories. So of course, there is beauty, there is style, there's home, travel, organization, educational, infographics. So for example, with Planoly, we go ahead and actually put a lot of our informational resources and guides on Pinterest. That's why you see a lot of infographics on Pinterest. There's even a lot of people who, there's a car niche within Pinterest. So people who are kind of in the car buying space or in the market for buying a car will go to Pinterest first before they make their buying decision. So with big purchases like that, you want to make sure that you're actually using it to your advantage, or with whatever type of product or thing that you're selling. So just dig in and begin discovering what type of niches are there on Pinterest, what kind of content is being created, and then see, oh, well, this type of content isn't doing so well, maybe I can do something a lot better. And the beautiful thing about Pinterest is that although it has a smaller base than like the Facebooks and Instagrams of the world, Pinterest is so tapped in and engaged than most other platforms and drives a lot more leads than, Twitter or Facebook. It's actually a lot more viral. So once you start getting clicks, you'll see a lot more traffic driving in from Pinterest. All right, so a few key Pinterest stats. So 52 million US pinners engage with beauty content on Pinterest. 35.5 million pinners engage with style content. 72% of food and beverage pinners in the US have made a purchase based on pins from a brand. So if you're a brand that's either within food or beverage, then you definitely want to tap into Pinterest and kind of create content, especially paid ads, so that way you can really reach your audience and kind of make an impression before they buy from you. So 78% of travel pinners in the US have made a purchase based from pins from travel brands as well. 45 million US pinners engage with home content on Pinterest. Reach is 47% of US internet users each month. Reach of 7 in 10 US women. Reach of 80% US moms, and reach of 76% US millennial women. So you have a very definite reach here if it meets some of these demographics. But of course, like I mentioned, these are just some of the top chunk users and key Pinterest stats. But of course, if your niche isn't here, that doesn't mean that there isn't a demand for Pinterest. I've found a lot of content on Pinterest that is, you know, for, like I mentioned, car buying. There is a lot for mechanic, you know, tools and how to do things on your own. I've also found a lot about, you know, tech and a lot of infographics about how to use social media. If you're in the social media space, this is key for you to use. We've gotten a lot of great performance from our pins just on social media advice and how to use tools. And even in this time where people are working from home and people, you know, there's parents that are also, you know, having their kids and teaching their kids and homeschooling them, there's so many resources that can help out these people that are trying to find answers. That's the key thing about Pinterest. People go to Pinterest to find answers. So if you know that you have an expertise in something, provide it. There's sometimes a lot of people that say like, oh yeah, these, you know, demographics don't really fit with my my audience, so it doesn't matter for me to use Pinterest. Don't say that unless you actually have it tested and proven that the audience isn't there for you. Some, you know, people are very easy to dismiss Pinterest because they see that it's majority made for women, but you don't know if your audience is there and people are there waiting for your content. So create it, see if it performs well. If it performs well, awesome. If it doesn't, cool, you have it proven and you can move on to the actual platforms that work for you. But don't dismiss it until you have a proven case in point. So a few things, people are always searching for different topics, information, inspiration on Pinterest, and your content can serve new discoveries for users. So there's many Pinterest trends that you can use to see how you can cater your content to what's being searched for within the platform to build on it and create it. So 85% of pinners say that Pinterest is where they go to start a new project. And obviously this is a time where people have a lot of free time. They're trying to learn new things. They're trying to learn new hobbies, trying to take on new, you know, new things to do to keep themselves busy. So this is a perfect time, prime time to use Pinterest. And then 89% of people on Pinterest use it for purchase inspiration. And then 98% of pinners report trying new things before once they find it on Pinterest. And again, trends change from time to time and they reflect what's trending within the world. So in this day and age of social distancing, people are turning more and more to Pinterest to get inspiration on ways to stay creative within their homes. So make sure that don't think of like promoting your content. Think of your content as a service. Allow your content to be of service to the audience by making it easily discoverable for those who are searching it. And you can optimize this by optimizing your pin copy and making your brand the focal point and prioritizing vertical images. That is one key thing when you are creating pins, that you want to make sure that they're optimized for mobile. Most people use Pinterest on mobile. So when they're scrolling, you want to make sure that you're avoiding the horizontal pins. You're making the pins vertical so that they're kind of easily seen when they're scrolling within the Pinterest app. And then another thing too, look to trends.pinterest.com to get started and see what people are looking for every month. Those are always really helpful. And also look into the Pinterest 100 to get an idea of how you can get started. You can start planning your content for the rest of 2020. Mind you, these trends that the Pinterest 100 has were created late last year, but they had already been in research for a while from Pinterest. So I think with this very weird shift in the world right now, probably the trends are changing a little bit. The trends on the Pinterest 100 are still very relevant. I believe that there is sustainability on there, and I think a lot of people are kind of shifting towards a sustainability mentality, especially when, you know, resources are kind of limited. So see how you can, you know, provide content that serves those trends that have already been built out within the Pinterest 100. Cool. So number one, before you get into any analytics, you have to set up a business account. This is the only way that you can access your analytics within Pin Planner, and you can access your analytics within Pinterest, the Pinterest account for business. So it's very, very easy. So first things first, you want to click on your settings at the top right dashboard of your Pinterest dashboard, and then you want to go ahead and click Add Account. Next, you're going to get through this walkthrough. It's going to say Get Started. You're going to click on that pop-up, and then from there, you're going to add details about your business, of course, your name, and select what your what your business is about. So there's a few options there that you can select if your business applies to it. And then next, you're going to add your business email, very straightforward, of course, linking your website. And then it'll ask you, would you ever be interested in running ads on Pinterest? If you're just getting started, I would probably say hold back on that before you actually see how your content is going to be performing on Pinterest. And then if you want to add more, see that you're getting some traction, then maybe it's time to dive into ads. But there are full courses on Pinterest that kind of can walk you through advertising within Pinterest. And then from there, that's pretty much it. You get started on creating pins, either if you want to create an ad or if you want to build your profile, growing your audience, showcasing your brand. It's very, very, very easy, nothing too crazy. And that's all you need to start tapping into your analytics. So from there, we'll go into Analytics Overview 101. So number one is your impressions. This is very similar to kind of like what you'll see on other social media channels, but these are the total number of times your pins were shown. Sorry. Next is your engagements. So this is the total number of engagements on your pins. This includes saves, close-ups, link clicks, and carousel cart swipes. So you do have cart swipes within Pinterest as well, kind of like carousels within Instagram. Next, you have your engaged audience. That's the total number of people who have engaged with your pins. And then you have close-ups. So that's the total number of times people viewed a close-up version of your pin. So this means when you're on the app, they actually tap it to see it close-up. It's very, on the nose. So that's what a close-up is. Then you have your link clicks, and that is a total number of times people have clicked on a pin to a destination on or off Pinterest. So this is how you this is kind of how you track the drives that you're getting from Pinterest to your site. And then of course you have your saves. So this is the total number of times people saved your pin on a video or a video pin to a board. And then one thing to understand here is that unlike Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, follower count is not a primary indicator of success on a platform like Pinterest. This is why when you go to people's accounts, say if you even go to the Planoly Pinterest account, you'll see the total audience or total monthly viewers rather than the followers. This is a much more important number because it is based on being a visual discovery tool rather than how many people are engaging that follow you. That you really want to track how your people are engaging, how your audience is engaging with your content rather than your followers. So that way you get more traction beyond your follower base. So as a visual discovery tool, users find content based on searches. So you should aim for discoverable content that your audience can engage with. That doesn't just mean your follower account. So a few other metrics that we have here. Video views, of course. So that is the amount of views that for at least 2 seconds with 50% of video in view time. Then, sorry, this is all jumbled, but 95% views is the number of times your video was viewed with 95% of its length. Then average watch time, the average time someone spent watching your video, and then the total watch time, that is very straightforward, is just the total watch time for the video in minutes. And one thing that I wanted to mention back to the past metrics is the total audience. So that is the total number of people who have viewed or engaged with all your pins you saved, both organic and ads, as well as any pins that have been saved from your claimed website. So I can dive in later on claimed websites. So for example, when you dive into your claimed website content, you want to make sure that you're actually linking your Instagram and any other social media channels that Pinterest allows you to link to. So that way, if somebody goes to your Instagram and decides to pin one of your photos to their board, you will actually still get those metrics attributed to you within your analytics, even if you didn't post it to your Pinterest. That's the beautiful thing about Pinterest. Like any of your content that's already been claimed for from your linked profiles will add up into your analytics within your Pinterest business account analytics. So that's really awesome. And then some additional metrics that kind of are very just straightforward. So engagement rate, obviously, like all these rates that kind of go in for all the, the engagements, the close-ups, the link clicks, and the saves. These are all rates that you want to keep track of as well. And then your monthly total audience, and then your monthly engaged audience. So they're very different. This is like total audience, people who are actually viewing all together, and then the engaged people that are actually clicking to the pin, are close-up, actually seeing like close-ups to the pin, and then saving the pins as well. So when you're cross-referencing your analytics and metrics on Pin Planner, it just builds it out so much easier, so you can actually see your analytics as you're creating. So use Pinterest and Pin Planner to elevate your content as you're creating. So through Pin Planner and drafting your pins before you post, we encourage you to look over your analytics first before you step into creating a new batch of content. And it's important to understand how your content is performing, how you can optimize it, and how you can continue leveling up your presence within Pinterest rather than continuously posting without a strategy or reassessing what your strategy is. It's super important to really understand what your numbers are before you kind of get discouraged and think like, my pins aren't working, I don't know what's happening. Well, have you looked at your numbers? This is the whole process with like social media. You have to understand where you're standing in within your engagement rate, how you're performing with your audience before you continue creating content, because if not, it's just going to be a waste of time. So this is our Pin Planner analyzed dashboard. It's very, very straightforward. You'll actually see all of your pins on the right side of the dashboard. You'll also see kind of like a very quick overview of how many people have viewed it, how many clicks you got in, how many times it's been saved, how many close-ups you've gotten, and how many click-throughs. And then you'll see your overall audience, your total and engaged audience. You'll see your content overall, how many pins you've shared, how many clicks you've gotten, how many impressions, how many saves. And then we dive into the board overview analytics. So you'll get that per board that you're tracking. So this is really awesome. You can see everything at a glance in one dashboard, very similar to how you get your analytics on Pinterest, but here you can just have everything in one dashboard as you're creating and planning content for Pinterest through our Pin Planner, and you can just select what boards you want to see and kind of get an overview through that and understand, how you're performing from the last 7 days, from the last 30 days, or the last 90 days, or you can actually select a custom timetable or time frame for what you want to check out in terms of analytics. So content creation is a cycle. It goes from ideation, creation, sharing, engaging, analyzing, and optimizing. I hear a lot sometimes that people feel like, oh, I scheduled my post on Planoly and now my engagement is low. But people need to understand that posting your content is just one little piece of the whole social media kind of walkthrough. Obviously, when you're posting to Planoly and you're scheduling that post, cool, we scheduled it for you. But it is up to you to build a strategy that you want to follow up with to make sure that your content is being engaged with. The same goes for Pinterest. You want to make sure that you're actually engaging, you're actually optimizing everything to make sure that people are coming back to your Pinterest or to your Instagram and see, okay, now I'm actually getting the views that I need, I'm actually getting the clicks that I need, I'm actually getting the engagement that I want. So creation over curation for Pinterest is like the prime key. You want to make sure that also you're not just sticking on like repinning all this stuff, especially if it's not yours. You as a creator have the power to make sure that you're actually optimizing your pins to be the top performers. And everybody's a creator, especially during this time right now. You know, everybody's trying to create, so why not be a creator and share your own content, especially if you're already kind of, you know, sharing content, or you know, you're getting inspiration from a board that you created through Pinterest. Like for example, you saved a recipe for, I don't know, like a Thai recipe, and then you made it. So you made it. You're a creator. Why not share that? You can definitely share that, and Pinterest encourages that. Pinterest wants to encourage you to be also a creator while tapping in with other people's content, and it just, you know, throws on like kind of this like chain of creation by being inspired from other people. So be part of that inspiration. So with this whole work through of, you know, ideating, creating, sharing, analyzing, and then optimizing, I love this framework that General Assembly has shared. I usually share it in a lot of my webinars, and if this is probably one of the first ones that you've done, then you probably heard this before, but this is my favorite way to work. It is the Objective First framework. And this framework is kind of like the holy grail of like really understanding how to optimize your content within social media. So first things first, you want to set objectives. So set a SMART objective that describes why you are running a campaign and what you hope to accomplish. Key questions to answer include: what customer behavior are you trying to change? What will that do for the business? So really set objectives. First things first, right off the bat. Then of course, define KPIs. So determine your key performance indicators you'll use to evaluate success in your campaign or any type of, you know, project that you're doing. So when you're defining KPIs, you can definitely pull these off from the Pin Planner analytics and understand which are the key metrics that you want to look at when you're creating content that will definitely define success for the content that you're creating. From there, you want to design your tactics. So determine how to reach your target customer by asking yourself, where does your target customer spend time online? If it's Pinterest, great. If it's Instagram, great. Use those tools to really understand how you can cater content to each platform that they're on. I really want to emphasize that you shouldn't use a strategy of like, oh, I'm just going to create the same template and post it through all channels. Like I mentioned earlier, Pinterest pins have to be optimized for Pinterest, because if you're sharing like, you know, a square or a 4x5 image on Instagram and you're using the same exact thing for Pinterest, it won't work. So make sure that you're tailoring all of your imagery, all of your graphics, any social media messaging, tailor for each platform, because if not, what's the purpose of me following you on Instagram and then following you on Pinterest if I'm seeing the same thing? I don't have to follow you on both. I'm just going to follow you on one. And if I keep seeing the same thing, it's just going to be redundant. I'm like, they don't really have a strategy. So make sure that you have everything very thought out and designed for where you're targeting your audience. Next, of course, is executing. So put your tactics into action in the channels that you believe will be most effective to your campaign based on your research conducted. And step 3, then identify the resources and team members you need to execute this campaign. So if you're one woman show or like a 2-person show, you know, understand and delegate who's doing what, and hear from, once you're executing, know like once you execute, who's going to be doing the follow-up, who's going to be engaging with the audience, who's going to be messaging back to, you know, all the comments, and who's going to be replying to the DMs, who's going to be doing what within all the steps of engagement after everything has been executed. Then, of course, measuring outcomes. So measure and analyze your performance as it occurs. This will help you gauge the health of your campaign along the way. A helpful question to ask is, what metrics tell you how you can improve your performance? So this is where you really can use the Pin Planner analytics tool to understand how well you're doing, apply benchmarks, and then see, okay, this post did a lot better than this one, and I thought that other one was going to do better. Great. That's just information for you to know, okay, our audience responds to this type of content a lot better on Pinterest. And even though this one did good on Instagram, it didn't do great on Pinterest, or vice versa. There's different like kind of nuances on how people you know, engage and behave on certain platforms. So don't feel discouraged if things don't work out okay. That's just information for you to optimize. And like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to outright say, oh, I failed, so Pinterest is not for me. Like, maybe use that information when you're measuring as a way to like, okay, how can I, moving on to step 6, optimize my results so that way I can go ahead and set new objectives that will help me succeed throughout this whole objective first framework. It is a really great way to really like understand, to use your results to inform iterations on the campaign that hopefully boost performance. And it's likely you'll find variables you can alter in the campaign that may move the needle on your goals or your campaign. So like I mentioned, don't feel discouraged. Use this flow in really creating content that is meant to succeed rather than just, you know, creating content outright and thinking like, okay, let's hope that this gets like, you know, 8% engagement, and then you just like sit on that KPI and then feel discouraged by everything else. But what about like link clicks? Make sure that everything is kind of looked at like from top down, rather than just looking at the high markers and thinking, okay, that's great, and then looking at the low performing ones and being like, okay, no, that sucks. Why did that suck? Sorry, don't mean to say like that, but why didn't that perform so well? What can we do better? Everything, even a failure, is a success if you have a lesson learned. So have that mentality when you're creating content. And see, you know, this is how you're only going to get better. This is the only way that you can continue stepping up your game within social media rather than giving up flat right. All right, so I know a lot of people already had questions about like, how do I even create pins, or how do I even like get started? So if you guys haven't heard, we do have a design tool called Stories Edit. So you can download our design tool either on iOS or Android and start creating start using the Pin Perfect template collection to start creating perfect pins. This is one of the pins that I created. It's super easy to use. You just upload an image that fits the template, and of course you can move everything around. So this is the caption that I was creating. You can you know, change the copy within the actual pin. You can capitalize. We even have different fonts. You can change the colors if you wanted that like peach color or different color. You can move the fonts around and everything to make it look a lot better. And the reason why we set them like this in time, like, you know, the long form kind of like vertical, this is the way that you want to create pins. These are on Pinterest. These are the ones that will perform a lot better on mobile and usually have a lot more traction. So a pro tip, some people had said, I don't know where to get started on creating pins. Like, I don't have content to create pins. If you're an expert on anything, you have content. So, and especially like if you're an expert on, I don't know, let's say, how to take care of your kids, or like how to, you know, work from home and do homeschooling. As a parent that, you know, this is my first time homeschooling in a weird time, I'm looking for content like that. And if you've already posted a pin, something like that 2 years ago, that is still evergreen content that is going to probably get tons of traffic today. So amplify on it. There's content that you're probably already created that is, you know, will probably never expire. So amplify on it. Create new pins for it that make it look like a new post that you just created using our Pin Perfect template collection, and post it on Pinterest, and probably you'll start seeing a lot more traction. I swear to you, if you created a pin like that and I didn't know that you wrote it 2 years ago, I would still click on this, because what the beauty of Pinterest is, it is not timestamped. There's no dates on this. So how will I know that you posted it 2 years ago? So if you have evergreen content, that is the prime time content that you want to post on Pinterest. So hopefully we have tons of templates within the Pin Perfect template collection. So make sure to use those, get creative, and follow us on Stories Edit on Instagram to start getting inspiration on how to use it. We show how to use like before and after on creating those templates to make it your own brand. And if you want to learn more on evergreen pins, we actually have a webinar from November 2019 that is uploaded on our YouTube right now. So it is called Amplifying Your Traffic with Evergreen Pins on Pinterest. So I suggest you go to youtube.com/Planoly and look at our webinars, and you'll see this right here. And this is a great webinar taught by our product marketing lead, Adriana. So she kind of walked through all of it. It was really, really helpful in breaking down how to, really tap into evergreen content on Pinterest and creating pins for it. So if you want to dive into that and you want to know how to get started, check out that webinar that is on our YouTube right now. And I will send a link for that tomorrow on our recap video along with this replay. A few additional resources. Of course, there is the Pinterest Academy. So the Pinterest Academy kind of just dives into a bunch of courses that let you walk through everything. I know a few of you guys actually said that it was kind of hard to get into understanding Pinterest for business. Pinterest Academy is the best thing that you can do. They do have a few courses that dive into like a peek into Pinterest, creating campaign objectives, creative strategy, creative inspiration, targeted buying, setting up a Pinterest business account, building and launching a campaign, managing and measuring a campaign, planning and strategizing a campaign. Those are all classes that you can take for free if you just go to this link. It's really, really helpful. Next, you want to check out the Pinterest 100 that I had mentioned earlier. So these are all different trends that Pinterest has kind of anticipated for this year that they figured would be what, people are going to be trending or looking for this year. So use this as inspiration when you're creating content, or if you feel like there's something that fits in within your content strategy, look at these themes. And then next is the Pinterest Basics, Business Basics. So if you go to the Pinterest Business Basics page, they'll dive into how people are using Pinterest and along different types of categories. So a lot of the stats that I had mentioned earlier are within this page. And then they walk you through growing your business. They walk you through understanding your analytics and your ads. They talk about, success on any budget, whether you want to do organic or paid ads, and then getting started with your business account, claiming your sites, creating pins, and everything. It's super, super, super helpful. Pinterest has so many resources. It's crazy that people aren't that aware of, but these are for you to use anytime. And then of course, our Planoly blog. So if you go to our search on the Planoly blog and just type in Pinterest, you'll see so many resources that we have all the time for, that we create all the time for Pinterest. There's a lot of case studies on here, a lot of resources, a lot of, planner leaders that we interview to ask them how they're using Pinterest. So make sure to look into our Planoly blog. We have tons of resources there all the time, and we're always open to your suggestions on what type of content you want us to create. So let us know. We're always trying to see what we can create for you guys. But with that said, we can dive right into the Q&A. So let me stop the share. Okay. Ooh, all right. So like I mentioned, if you guys have any questions, Q&A box right here. Because if it's in the chat, I probably won't see it. There's a lot of messages here. But I did see a question on the chat about what is an evergreen pin. Evergreen pins are so helpful. Evergreen pins are essentially content that is evergreen in the sense that it never expires. Not the content that is current events. Like for example, anything that talks about, like if you were to write a piece, not that I want to talk about what's going on, but if you were to write a piece of like how to survive, working from home during coronavirus, given that this will probably end soon, that is not a evergreen post because that will only be relevant during the time that people are quarantined. That will not be relevant when this is all over. However, if you do shift it from how to build your work from home space with nothing that is relevant to a certain time, or kind of like talking to the zeitgeist of today, of this weird time, then that's an evergreen post, because there's people that are always working from home. People have always been working from home. So that's an evergreen type of content. So you can create an evergreen pin for that. That will probably perform really well right now, and will probably continue performing well once this whole quarantine is over. So that's what I mean by evergreen content and evergreen pins. All right. So, okay, I answered that question for a few people then, because I see it here on the questions. All right. All right, this is, let's see. I'm seeing a few questions that I've already answered through the presentation, so sorry, just going through that. Oh, this is a good one. So Ryan asked, how do you make sure your content and pictures are credited to you when other people are pinning it? So like I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that for if you have any linked accounts, and I believe you can link your YouTube, you can link your Facebook and your Instagram on Pinterest. So if anybody's sharing your content from those accounts, you will get those metrics attributed to your analytics. But when it comes to crediting, sometimes people won't credit, obviously. Like if you post a picture and they save it to their board, you don't really have control of that. That's happened to me a few times. So what I would do, and I see a lot of people do on Instagram, is do a watermark. That's what we do for Planoly. For anything Planoly, we always make sure to add our logo or our watermark or our handle, so people always know it's coming from us. We encourage people to pin our stuff, even if it's not linked back to us, because a lot of the things that we share are usually like cute graphics or quotes, sometimes infographics. So we understand that not everything is going to get linked back to a post. So we try to include a watermark. That will save you a lot of that, trouble of having people credit you when they're not actually saving it. And saving it is the same thing as repinning. So if they are saving it from your board to their board, that's totally fine, because it's still credited to you. But if they save it to their computer and they're uploading it as a pin, I would encourage that you just have a watermark to save you that trouble. All right. Oh, this one's a good one. Is there a downside in organic reach if you make your account a business account? Not at all. You won't get any, Pinterest does not actually, would love for you to use a business account if you want to make sure that, you're keeping track of your metrics, and especially if you're a business, but it doesn't affect your organic reach at all. Like I mentioned, I don't have a business. I just, do content for Planoly and I'm product marketing, but I do have a business account because I want to see my metrics. And my engagement, if anything, was probably a lot higher when I switched to business, but that's because I started posting a lot more. I started sharing a lot more content. So it doesn't mean that because I was a business account, I got more engagement or less engagement. It just depends on what your content is and how it's being received by the people who are searching for the keywords that are related to your content or are following you. Ooh, Emma asks, how do I add a pin URL? Awesome. So let me share my screen because I can show you how to do it. So when you, if you go to the Planoly pin planner, so if you go to the Planoly pin planner, you will see everything that you need for, there we go. Everything that you need for a certain pin. So for right there, that was my gallery. Over here, you'll see everything in terms of adding your pin title, pin description, your pin URL, and the boards that you want. When you're uploading to Pin Planner and scheduling your pins, all of these are mandatory. So you can add your pin URL here. So for example, it'll be planoly.com, new stories edit collection. Actually, I wouldn't even have this as my template because this is Pinterest. Say this would be like Pinterest templates. Pinterest templates for beginners. This is something that's probably much more searched than specifically stories edit, because probably not a lot of people are looking for what stories edit or know what stories edit is. So I'm going to give them something that they're probably searching for, Pinterest template. So I'm going to include that within my title and probably within the description, and include a few hashtags that are relevant to what's being searched. And another thing that's very interesting or very different about how hashtags work on Pinterest versus Instagram is that hashtags aren't kind of like based on what's trending on Instagram. Hashtags are based on what's being searched for. So right here, say I already wrote my description, this would be Pinterest template. And even if people are looking for stories template, and think of anything else that people would be searching for, because I would not use hashtag stories edit for this, because that's not what people might be searching for. People are searching for easy to use templates. So you have to kind of reframe your mindset in the way that you're creating copy, hashtags, metrics from Pinterest to Instagram is completely different. Okay. Giovanna asks, how do we link Planoly to Pinterest? So let me share my screen again. I'm already linked to Pin Planner. But when you go to your dashboard, say when you're going here to your profiles, you'll obviously, if you already have an Instagram account, you already have it here. But you, if you haven't linked your Pinterest account, you will have the Pinterest logo right here. You'll click on it, and then it'll tell you to add your Pinterest account. You'll click on the plus sign, and then from here you log into your Pinterest account. From there, you will be logged in if you have a Pinterest business account, because we'll need all of that to make sure that you can loop in your analytics. So it's very, very easy. And even if you want to delete an account, you can definitely delete it here, but you can add one right here. So it's very, very easy. Nothing too complicated. We made it easy for you guys. Okay. Ooh, I love this question. Blair asks, where do you go within Pinterest to learn what trends are trending at the moment? Yes. And I didn't share this, I'm sorry. But if you go to trends.pinterest.com, you will see what's trending. And I'll share that right now. Sorry. And I'll share this in tomorrow's email. If you go to trends.pinterest.com, you'll see everything that's trending right now. At-home workouts is obviously trending. Science experiments with kids, home office, obviously. And you can see the spikes, like it's kind of crazy. Like all of a sudden, people are having a spike in home office because everybody's working from home. So like I mentioned earlier, the trends are very much reflective of what's going on in the space and time of the internet. So yeah, this is what's going on right now in terms of trends. So make sure to take a look at that. And then of course, the 100 Pinterest trends, always check that out to see what's already been predicted by Pinterest in terms of like what's going on and what will be trending. So for example, like Home Hub, you'll see home theaters, indoor microgreens, audio rooms, work from home wear, garden room, like all this stuff. They've already kind of created a prediction on it based on past trends and what's already been trending. So they've already written out everything for people to see what's trending. All right. Let's see what other questions we have. All right. Okay, sorry. A few of these questions I've already answered. Oh, this one's good. Mia. Mia asked, what is a KPI? That is a key performance indicator. So it's a key statistic that you want to look at, a key metric that basically kind of lets you understand if you're meeting the goals that you've set for yourself based on that whole objective first framework. So you've obviously set your goals and then you've set actual goals with numbers. So as you're running through the whole kind of process of designing, executing, and then reviewing and seeing the results, when you look at the results, you're understanding, cool, like I must have had an 8% engagement rate to understand that this was going to be a good performing post. And if it didn't meet that KPI, then or kind of like you saw, okay, it did low. Those are the key metrics that you want to keep an eye on when you're creating content to make sure that you're staying on track. All right. Okay, yeah, a lot of people were asking about evergreen content. All right. Okay, somebody had asked, would it be possible to go into detail regarding how to use hashtags? It kind of would take a while. I know I have like 4 minutes left, but we would be more than happy to write a post about it, just to kind of like help you guys understand the nuances between Instagram and Pinterest and helping you see kind of like shift your mindset on how both platforms should be kind of accounted for. So we can definitely write that post. Don't worry. But if you guys would like, we can even do another webinar next month. We have webinars every month too. So we can definitely touch on this as well. So, and of course, given that everybody's working from home, we're actually going to be amping up on webinars. So stay tuned. All right, I'll answer a few more questions. Okay. Can we directly post from Planoly, Pinterest? Yes. All right. Oh, this is a good question. Jordan asked, I have a paid solo plan, but it says I can't start a campaign. I need to upgrade. So unfortunately, if you do want to add Pinterest and you already have a solo plan, you would have to upgrade your account because then you're managing 2 accounts instead of solo, like a single account. So if you want to add your Instagram and your Pinterest, you would have to upgrade. So that is the one caveat with using Pin Planner. That I would encourage, if it's something you want to try, give it a shot, and then or you can unlink your Instagram and then try Pinterest. But I would say probably your Instagram is more important right now if you haven't done Pinterest yet. So yeah, you would have to upgrade. Yes. All right. Okay, somebody had asked, I couldn't find the app. I dug deeper in the app, not on the Android. Didn't know that there is a reason for that in particular. I think you might be talking about Stories Edit, Antasia. If you couldn't find the app, it's just Stories Edit, one word. So sorry about that if you couldn't find it. It's Stories Edit, one word, not 2. So that is, and it is on Android as well. So not sure why it's not showing up, but it's Stories Edit, one word. Download it for free. We do have lots of templates, and then we do have a pro version that's always, if you want more advanced elite templates, and we have those too. All right. Oh, interesting. I searched everywhere, but I can't find it on Pinterest or Google for that matter. How do you verify your Pinterest business account? Okay, so it's not that you're verifying, you're creating a business account. So for example, I'll show you my Pinterest. So my Pinterest right now is a business account, but what you want to do, oh, 1 second. Okay. All right. So what you want to do is go to your dashboard, even if you have a regular Pinterest account right now. So what you want to do is go to your dashboard, the 3 dots up top, and then from there, it'll tell you, actually, if you go here. So right now it's telling me to set up my business profile. But if you click the 3 dots, you should get switched to business, and then you'll get all of that. I just recently reset my business account just to walk you guys through all of that. So now it's telling me to add my business name and add my website. But it is very, very simple. It's all on the Pinterest dashboard. It's not something that you have to search through Google. So, okay. All right, one more question before we sign off. And again, I'm really sorry that I can't answer all the questions. It's like 60 questions on here. But if you guys, if I didn't get to your question, make sure to email us at support@planoly.com. Our support team is super, super, super responsive and will answer all of your questions. Also make sure to DM us at Planoly on Instagram. We're always responsive on there as well. And then if you have any questions for me, you can follow me at Code of Conduct with all Ks on Instagram as well. I'm happy to answer your questions there. Let's see. Ooh, I like this question. Where do you link where do you link your pin to an original website, to a blog, or a freebie? Where? So obviously when you're pinning everything, you want to make sure that it's attributed to something. When you're pinning on Pin Planner, we don't allow you to save anything without adding a link to it. So obviously if you don't have a website yet, I would definitely encourage you to. Squarespace has free domains that you can use. If you have something that you want to link out to, use that link. It doesn't have to be a specific website, but I definitely encourage you to set up a blog if you haven't had one yet. So and if you have a freebie, even better, because people, if you already title, if I were to title like our stories edit templates, if we didn't have an app, like 5 free templates that you can use for Pinterest, I'm going to download that freebie because you had free on there. So make sure that when you're creating your pins, you are linking to something, be it, an original website, a blog, a freebie, to whatever you want to drive out to. And then from there, you'll just go ahead and pin it to a specific board that you've created for that. So if it is for, free templates, you'll create a board for that you're going to have like recurring, say you're going to be doing like monthly free templates, then you'll go ahead and upload that to that board and just be organized with the way that you're creating those boards. Because sometimes people will not just follow you, they'll follow a specific board because they crave that content from you. So make sure to just be organized in the way that you're creating and linking out your pins. All right. Sorry guys, there's like 58 questions and I can't answer all of them. But again, if you have any questions, just make sure to email us, support@planoly.com. We're always there to answer any of your questions. And then of course, email me, either Priscilla@planoly.com or Instagram at Code of Conduct. So thanks again, everybody. I hope that this was helpful. Don't want to make sure, oh wait, sorry. Yeah, there's so many questions I want to answer. Sorry guys, I'm just looking at the chat right now. Okay. All right, sorry guys. I'm probably gonna like copy all these questions because sometimes Zoom doesn't save all the questions for some reason. So I'm just gonna copy all of them because I'd like to get back to all of you if I can. Awesome. Okay. All right, thanks so much, guys. And we'll keep you updated on the rest of the webinars that are going to be going on. They will be uploaded via the our socials, of course, but they will be posted on our integrated social calendar that we just released that I think a lot of you guys RSVP'd through. So keep an eye on your calendar for the next round of webinars that we'll be doing. We'll be having a PIM planner one-on-one next month, very similar to our Instagram one-on-one that we had last week. If you didn't see that one, so that one will be very much more in depth to how to use our PIM planner, and then we can answer a few of the questions that you guys had here and include some of the questions that you included, well, that added, and then we can include it in here. But again, thanks so much, everybody. I hope everybody's staying safe and sane. Everybody, let's keep our chins up. And yeah, hopefully we can see each other next time. Cool. Thanks so much, guys.